You might be surprised to learn that 50% of your happiness comes from your genetics, what you were born with. Now, I know that was certainly surprising for me, and at first was a little disheartening, but it actually is really good news. Now, you might be as equally surprised to learn that only 10% of your happiness comes from your circumstances, your job, how much money you make, your environment, etc., etc. Now, the challenge is most people are spending all of their effort on this 10%. They're trying to figure out how to get a better job. They're trying to figure out how to make more money, and all of that's fine as long as we put it in proper context. That is only going to impact 10% of your happiness. So where does the other 40% come from? Well, the great news is that 40% is made up of our daily habits, choices, and activities. Things like mindfulness, gratitude, movement, positive mindset. Now, the other good news about this 40% is it can help mitigate that 50%. It's just like if you were born with a high cholesterol that was genetically given to you, and you can do things to mitigate that. You can change your diet, you can exercise, you can take medication, all of that will help it. It doesn't change the genes, but it helps mitigate it. Happiness is the same way. This 40% will help mitigate that 50%. Gratitude, activity, all of that. And so the other good news about that is often people who are born with a lower set point of happiness feel a sense of shame and judgment. Why am I not a happy person? Why can't I be happy like Bobby or Susie? Well, the reality is Bobby and Susie might have been born with a higher set point, and just like they can't take credit for being born as a happier person, we shouldn't be taking credit for being born with a lower set point of happiness. Now, the other thing this 40% can do is it can help change our mindset about that 10%, how we see the 10%. We can see it through a different lens, where at once we may have been annoyed or irritated or really frustrated about our circumstances. As we put in daily routines of mindfulness and gratitude and habits that lift our overall happiness, we begin to see this differently. So all the research is telling us that if we'll focus in on this 40%, which is a lot of what I'll work with my coaching clients on, how do you build those daily habits, those daily practices, that if we'll focus in on this, it will have an impact on the entire happiness pie. And as a result, we can learn to live a more fulfilling and happy life.